Bigweed here. Today we review an IPA and discuss the Controligarchy. Hello and welcome to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crow Hill. Good evening, Crow Hill.
Good evening, Pigweed.
What's on your mind?
Well, just this.
Yes, our man, Anthony Oliver,
Anthony Oliver, or whatever his real name is.
Whatever his real name is.
That's right.
Can't even get his fake name right, but yeah. I do love that song, and I love that line, and boy, does that introduce our topic.
It does, and the thing, as we were discussing before, he could have put several more lines of things that the
want to know what you eat, want to know where you travel to.
Where you put your table scraps.
Which bathroom you use.
That's right. Yes. Goes on and on, doesn't it? But before we get into that, let's get into this. This looks interesting here. We got Brooklyn Brewery Winter IPA.
Okay. Sledder's Choice.
Sledder's Choice. I suddenly had a vision of that book we read, which...
Ethan Frome.
Yes. Sledder's Choice. They drank this right before they went down the hill.
Yeah. And so it's got an interesting little wintry star shape on it. I tend to drink my IPAs in warm weather. What would make a winter IPA?
Yeah, probably just malting it up a bit, I think.
I would say that's good, malting it up a little bit. And, I bought some 8%ers for our backpacking trip that are IPAs with spruce tips.
Okay.
I feel that's kind of wintry.
That's pretty wintry, yeah.
So what does this thing say it's going to do for us winter-wise?
It's 7%.
It's Simcoe hops meet rye spice in one wintry double.
And it says it tastes of juniper, jam, and snowfall, okay? Cold weather calls for thick knit hats, swift sleds, and winter IPA. All right, there we go.
It tastes like putting your tongue on a cold telephone pole.
It doesn't. Actually. No, it doesn't taste like that. It's actually pretty good. It has a
But I do recommend that for all you kids out there who haven't tried it.
Yeah, if you haven't tried it, wait till the coldest day.
Not the wooden ones. The metal ones.
It's got to be a metal telephone pole.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah. So I like it. It's got a bit of maltiness.
It is malty,
and it's got a little bit of that resiny, sticky hop.
Yeah. I would say yes. Mm-hmm. If you're going to classify, if you're going to give the what do they call the JBCP?
Yeah, right. All that.
Whoever the people are who style guide people.
Yeah.
If they were going to create a new winter IPA classification, I would say yes, it has to be malty and a little bit of something a little zippy.
Yeah, something with that piney kind of flavor to it, whether it's from juniper tips or whatever. Yeah. But spruce tips, not juniper. That's gin.
That's gin.
All right, so the Controligarchy.
Yes, great term. Yes, I did the same thing. Made me think of that song.
Yeah.
The Controligarchy is a term come up with
Seamus Bruner.
Seamus Bruner, I think, is affiliated with Breitbart.
Yeah, so he wrote a book called Controligarchs, exploring the billionaire class, their secret deals, and the globalist plot to dominate your life.
That is a great subtitle.
Yeah.
And it's a real thing.
Yes. It's amazing because you think about all the ways that the rich, the super rich, I mean, we're talking about 5 just ridiculously rich guys here.
Yeah.
And, more than that, but on the cover of his book, he's got 5. And they want to tell you what you can drive, where you can go, what you can think.
Yeah, so we're talking, you've got the BlackRock guy, Gates, all of Fang.
You'll eat bugs and you'll like it.
Yeah. Who are we talking about here? We got Fang, Soros.
Yeah, so on the
Gates.
cover of his book here, he's got Klaus, he's got Zuckerberg, he's got Gates, he's got the Amazon dude, Bezos, and he's got Soros. Yeah, those are the 5 on the cover of the book. Yeah. Yep. But I mean, in addition to that, you've got other this whole World Economic Forum where they get together and talk about how they're going to run our lives and tell us what to do. You know, they're going to fly around in their private jets to go to their special meetings, but we have to have electric cars and cut down on our
Right.
consumption.
Who's the other billionaire? Midwest billionaire. I don't consider him part of the Controligarchy.
No, conspicuously lacking from this list of controligarchs is Elon Musk, who is going the opposite direction.
No, he's definitely
He's
the only
trying
one.
to
He's
fight
the only one saving us.
Yeah, and that's why the media is all
Yes, that's why. Right.
piling on him.
And
Yes.
he was the media darling.
Yes.
Now he's a monster.
Now he's a monster because he wants people to be able to say what their mind on X. But yeah. So, what are some ways that the controligarchy? Well, first of all, let's just back up for a second and ask the question: why do these guys think that they get to run our lives? I think of that old song. He can't even run his own life. I'll be damned if he'll run mine.
Yeah. Oh, so when Obama and all of these guys, would get together for closed door meetings, you can't figure that they've got the individual American's best interests at heart.
No.
You automatically have to be suspicious. Like, why is the government getting together with all of these big tech guys?
It's like the lady in the homeowners association who wants to tell everybody how to trim their bushes. I mean, it's like some people just feel that they have to mind other people's business.
Or no, well, I think it's. But
it's more than that.
It's more than that because it's a new frontier.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity that government has never had before.
Well,
and that they're anticipating, and that the average person, especially during in Obama's time, really he was the first internet president, really, right?
Yeah.
So we're not thinking about it,
right.
But these guys are thinking further ahead because they are driving this technology.
Remember that story you told me about how they war gamed out? What could we do if there was a pandemic?
Yes.
What are the things that we could do? And it never even occurred to them that they could shut down society, force everybody to stay home.
It was like they war gamed for like 500,000 deaths in Britain.
Right.
And that wasn't on the table.
Mm-hmm. And
what happened 5 years later?
And then all of a sudden we find out, hey, we can get away with this, and that is a huge.
But you know what? You know how that came about is because we allowed China to take the lead on this.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what, and we'll be getting to China in this discussion for sure, because this is exactly what we're doing. We're going, how are the Chinese doing it?
Right. And so we found out, we can get away with this. And the thing that strikes me about this is what that says about the public.
Yes. We are that pliant.
We are willing to go along with this kind of crap.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, in the Roman Catholic Church, it's a mortal sin not to go to Mass on Sunday in the Roman Catholic Church.
Okay.
But get the governor to tell you, oh, sorry, you can't, can't have church.
Yeah.
And then the bishops just say, okay.
Right.
What a bunch of weak-kneed babies.
Yeah. I mean, right. The all you had were some like rogue individual churches.
A couple of them.
But they were just individual. They weren't full denominations. It wasn't like the Presbyterians stood strong or whatever.
Right.
It was individual church guys.
Generally speaking, they all caved.
Yeah, they did. And then people would just go, "How about this? We'll have an outdoor service with everybody
6 feet apart."
No.
Right.
Not good enough.
Yeah. So
anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Why?
So I think this is how. Let's back up. Where did this opportunity come from? Like you said, we, never let a good crisis
go to waste.
Yes, never let a good crisis go to waste. You saw that window when people caved, and they have seized on it.
And we're all just such a bunch of pampered little babies who want to have our MTV and our everything being nice and sweet, and we're not willing to stand up to anything or face any risk. And when people tell us you've got to do this and you've got to do that, we say, okay, as long as you don't take my cable television away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's really disgusting. So because we have such a pliant baby population, these guys are going around telling us, we're going to tell you what you can think, what you can say. Think of all the parents who, I mean, it's only recently that some few parents are standing up to the garbage that's being taught to their kids in the schools.
Yeah.
The vast majority of parents are just like, okay, I guess if you want to teach them that, then that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't agree
again,
with it.
This is probably the only upside to the pandemic was in parents getting a window, literal window, into what goes on in the classroom.
Yes, but even at that,
not that they're doing anything about it.
Exactly. Even at that, I'm astonished that so few parents have stood up and said, I would expect there to be a mass exodus. I would expect parents to just say, no more. This is it. We didn't know about this. Now we know about it. That's the end. But nope.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing. Every time we win a skirmish, we lose a battle. So somebody steps up and passes legislation that parents have control, and we're like, oh gosh, well that
wasn't that great.
Wow, that's a win. And then they turn around, sue, and find a judge to agree with them. And you're like, I thought we just won that.
No, the culture war has been lost consecutively over and over and over again for the last 30 years.
Yes, and
everything's going
I'm so looking for those little glimmers.
Yeah,
but they're immediately like, oh gosh, finally the tide is turning. No, it's not. No. It's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
It's not the tide of turning. It was just one big wave.
Yeah, and we just like threw like a pebble into the waves to take that.
That's right. That's right. No, it's not high tide. It's just a big wave because that boat just went by over there.
But let me illustrate this, if you don't mind, by contrast. Have you ever watched? Did you watch The Men Who Built America? Did you watch any of that? It was History Channel. I didn't realize it was this long ago, from 2023.
No,
but it was great.
2013,
2013.
Yeah.
It was great. It featured Rockefeller, Vanderbilt, Westinghouse, the Carnegies, the Titans, people who were enormously wealthy, but what they left behind, they had their civic offer was
schools, libraries, right?
Schools, libraries, universities. Like just here in Baltimore, we've got the Pratt Library System, we've got the Peabody Conservatory, Johns Hopkins College and Hospital. So very wealthy men. The Meyerhoff Symphony, Rockefeller Center, all of these, the universities. So what they did was they took their money and they created these institutions that would allow people to pursue their own happiness in a way that they, give them an opportunity. Museums, culture, places to go. Well, so what is going on with the current people who have the money to do the same kind of philanthropic things? What have they chosen to do instead of what these men did a century ago?
They're telling us that we have to eat bugs, and that we have
they've decided. Well, no. What I'll do is I will guide them on how they should behave into the future.
Yeah, it's not like
what the hell's wrong with you people?
It's not like the rich guys who built libraries said, and you can only have these books, by the way.
Well, yeah, right. It's the institution. Go, do what you will. Right. Here's a concert hall, but you can only listen to this music. No, here's a concert hall.
Yes, right. Yeah, make something of it.
Yeah,
right. So what we have now is we have these morons who think they know better than everybody else, who are going to tell us how we're going to live. Here's, this is a little bit of a side note, and it irritates me because it just recently happened. A couple of years ago, Mrs. Crowhill asked for a compost bin.
Yeah.
So one of the younger Crowhills and I went out in the backyard and built a compost bin, and she uses it regularly. We compost stuff. We get good dirt, put it in the garden. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, our county decided that they were going to hand out these buckets and these bins that we're supposed to put compost in. and they expect
and then we'll
us,
put it out on the curb,
and then put it out on the curb for them to collect. It's like, come on. So when I want to throw something away, I've got to decide: is this paper? Is it plastic? Is it? Does it go in this bin? Does it go in this other bin?
It used to be garbage. No. Now you have to separate organic garbage from other.
I am so sick of it. I know I don't recycle at all anyway, because I won't have anything to do with it. But now they want me to take my dinner scraps and put them in this bucket so a raccoon can knock it over.
I know, right? I've always thought, like, every time I throw away organic stuff, I'm thinking, you know what? I wish I had a potbelly pig. It seems like this is perfectly good food for something.
Yeah.
But I don't have a potbelly pig. I'm not zoned for it. And so, it just goes in the daggone trash.
I'm just sick of people telling me you have to live your life this way, and we're going to tell you where you put your garbage. And can I just pay $5 extra a month and just put all the trash in one place? Can I please just do that instead? Because anyway, so that's another topic. But it just irritates me. These people trying to tell me how to live my life, and that's a minor thing compared to what these big corporations want to try to do.
Who's Berkshire Hathaway?
Yeah, that's the company that the guy who just died.
No.
Yeah. There's the investor Warren Buffett.
That's what I'm getting at. Warren Buffett. Apparently, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett's in Nebraska, something
Omaha.
like that.
He's the Oracle of Omaha.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But
which they have what? The greatest meats.
Yeah.
So apparently, he and Bill Gates get together for some delicious, steaks.
Yeah.
But what Bill Gates is doing with his money is buying up farmland.
Yes.
That is going to help determine what we eat in the future. So he'll still be eating steaks while we're eating bugs.
Oh, except for Warren Buffett apparently really likes McDonald's. So what I was going to say is Warren Buffett's right-hand man.
Oh.
I'm having a hard time remembering his name, but he just died a couple of days ago. He's 99 years old, just like a month short of his 100th birthday.
But I would say Warren Buffett is not in the Controligarchy.
I don't think so. He doesn't seem like he does that. Although he has challenged other rich people to use their money to help society, which is a great thing. 100%. That's what they should be doing.
But yes, why don't you look at Rockefeller and those guys. For inspiration. Not Xi Jinping. That's where you're getting your information from, because they're saying, they're going, what? What are you guys doing over there?
Right.
You can track everybody doing everything?
Right.
Yes, we can.
Social credit?
Yeah. Do you want to go down the social credit?
Well, let's tie it in with digital currency, because
100%. That's where
that's where it is. So, if we have digital currency, then there's going to be a record somewhere of everything you buy. And the government's going to say, well, wait a minute, you're buying too many books by conservative authors, you need to buy some books by liberal authors. Or you're spending too much money on... somebody is going to be able to look at your spending history and decide...
now we need to back up to Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum.
Yes.
Because this is kind of where Klaus sees the future going. Which is what? I mean, you know the Bilderberg group? It's just like, it's just a bunch of rich guys getting together and having a fraternity party. Davos is the richest people in the world getting together in a Swiss who say, all right, so what's the world going to look like, guys? Yeah. To the handful of men in the room.
Yeah. And think about how different that is. Saying, we are going to fashion society in our image. How different that is from, here's a library, here's a symphony hall, here's a,
Yeah, and so what Klaus said, that he loves the idea of digital currency, or CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. and like I said, or you said about, looking to China for inspiration, they're like, you see? Mm-hmm. That's how it's done. And so you tie together government's control of currency,
right,
and the metadata storage of everything that everybody purchases, to their social credit score. So we did social credit score.
Right.
Talk to me a little bit about what that is.
Yeah. So let's say you want to get a loan, and you want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, whatever it is, you want to get a loan, and what rate you pay might be determined by your social credit score, which would be determined by some bureaucrat going through some series of factors where they decide whether you're a good citizen or not, whether you are following the rules the way they want you to, whether you're saying the things they want you to.
Or actually, it won't be a bureaucrat. It'll be the bureaucrat has programmed AI.
Yes, programmed AI to do it.
Yeah, right. There's no people actually doing this.
So if you go to the meeting at the public school and say, "Hey, I don't want you teaching this to my kids," your social credit score goes down.
Say,
now you pay more for a car loan.
I heard you refused your second, third, fourth, and fifth vaccine booster.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a record of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so your normal credit score is, have you borrowed money and paid it back?
Yes,
That's
right.
used to be all anybody cared about.
Yeah.
Now, are you a good citizen or not?
Right.
And who gets to determine that? Well, yeah, how about this? I love this here. This guy here reflects on it. It seems like he's got a slight moment of reflection. He is a central bank dude.
Right.
He says, there could be some socially beneficial outcomes from that, preventing activity which is seen to be socially harmful in some way. Then
Seen by whom?
Then apparently he thinks about it. He goes,
Yeah.
But at the same time, it could be a restriction on people's freedoms. You think?
You think, yeah. So do you
Dope?
trust politicians to sit around and decide what kind of actions people should be able to take?
Does
what things will go
anybody
up?
remember the Canadian trucker protest?
Oh, right, yeah.
So tell me about it.
So the Canadian truckers were not allowed. They weren't allowed to go across the border unless they had their vaccinations up to date or something
well,
like that.
they sit alone in a cab,
right, driving down
to
the
drive
road.
somewhere to drop their stuff off and never even get out.
Yeah, they never even talk to anybody except the hookers at the gas station. But
And they're not vaccinated for anything.
yeah. So so Canada said you can't come across unless you have these vaccinations, and the truckers were like, no, this is
They were actually an inspiration to the world. There were
Yes.
trucker protests all through Europe.
peaceful protests. They were trying to. And this wasn't like a peaceful protest while there's bombs going off in the back. These are actual
not
peaceful,
fiery, but peaceful.
yeah, actual peaceful protests.
So they rode into Ottawa, or they tried to.
Yeah.
And
they not only did they cut off their money, but when other people wanted to support them,
they're like,
and
right,
use
these guys are striking. They might need a little bit of help. Here's $25 to the out of work truckers fund.
right, and the government closed that down and took that money so that the truckers couldn't get it.
Yes, they closed that down, and also had the ability or threatened to seize the bank accounts.
And
not take the money, just close it down. You can't spend it because everything, all your spending is electronic.
This is the kind of thing, people say there are no liberals anymore, and this is an example because 25 years ago,
yes,
liberals would have said, no, if they want to give money to that person, they should be able to give money to that person. That's their freedom.
This is
That's
why
their
old
right.
school liberals are
they're
they're a dying breed.
Yeah.
But they're baffled by
Yes.
this. They're like, do you guys know what liberalism means?
Exactly. Because in the old days, back when liberals were really liberals, what they saw was this is precisely the kind of tactic that an oppressive government uses to say, no, we don't want you supporting these radicals like Martin Luther King and
Yes.
So if you're going to try to give money to them, no, we're going to stop you from doing that. And the liberals are saying, wait a minute. People have a right to say what they want. People have a right to give money to the people, to whoever they want to give money to.
Right.
And now it's those same liberals
Yes.
who are, in their
That's what they
70s.
like back when the ACLU were liberals.
Yeah.
And now they're just on the side of leftists.
Now they're on the side of the Controligarchs. Yeah, and
What-
so the trucker people were trying to do this peaceful protest to say, no, we don't want to comply with this thing. And the
ordinary
government shut it down.
Ordinary Canadians who are trying to give $25
Right.
to the fund and having their finances.
And I'll bet
threatened.
you their names are in a file somewhere.
Oh, you think they went away?
No. So
No.
the same thing is going on right now with anyone. I just learned about this recently. Anyone who traveled to D.C. around January 6th is in a file. And then we also just learned recently, anybody who liked, shared, or interacted with a Trump tweet is now in a file.
Right. How about people who've donated to the Trump campaign? I'm
Right.
sure they're on the list.
Yeah. Now, that is so
Nobody? Are you
corrupt.
guys?
That's
Is
so
anybody
ridiculous.
horrified by this? Liberals?
Everybody,
Liberals?
yeah, where are the
Anybody?
liberals? Are there any liberals out there? Because you should be horrified at this.
So you know how Twitter jail works,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
you say something offensive, and what? You're not allowed to tweet for 2 weeks, or
Or they just make your tweets so that they don't show it up to anybody else.
Yeah. Well, that's very underhanded.
That's
But at least,
shadow banning.
yes, shadow banning. But at least Twitter jail is you've misbehaved.
Mhm.
Now, what if they decide to implement the no spending jail? So it's like, all right, and then AI will figure out what you like. They're like, okay, little miss, you said something mean about Joe Biden, and I see that you go to Starbucks every day. No Starbucks for you.
And it sounds absurd, but that's exactly the kind of thing that.
Yeah, so we're saying, right? It's like, so we're not taking your money.
Yeah.
We're just saying, yes, that
Your card doesn't work anymore.
well, just for these items.
Yeah.
Because that's what they say. That this is what they love about it, is that empowering central banks with the ability to program their currency digitally will come as a concern for political dissidents. Not for political dissidents, just for anybody. That you'll be able to determine.
Makes me want to go out and buy silver.
Yeah. Hold on. Allowing the government to determine what citizens can and cannot spend their money on. How about the guy who you got a DWI and you can't buy beer for a year?
Yeah.
Can I buy a bottle of wine as a gift from my brother-in-law? Nope. You're in beer jail.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or anything they were. Or anything.
What if,
I was going to say.
fine.
I was going to say they're gonna take some fatty and tell them that they can't. But
they won't do that.
They won't do that anymore
No, they won't
because
do that.
no matter how fat you are, you're now healthy. According
As a matter
to
of fact, the very fact that you use the word fatty, they're not going to put you in jail. Your
By the way, I
social
don't
credit
like
score.
beer, so you definitely banning that wouldn't do you any good at all.
Yeah, if you really want to get pigweed, make sure that you can't buy gin.
Yeah, right. Or yeah, in a million ways.
Yes.
Without
They're gonna try
actually
to
taking your
control.
money, they'll just say, or in the interest of the polar bears,
Yeah.
you have already driven too much this month.
Right. Exactly. They want your car to have control systems on board, so they can track where you go, how many miles you drive.
Yes, it'll be a new taxation system
Yes.
per mile.
Yeah.
And in a way, I mean, I kind of get paying fees for what you do.
Yeah,
Right. So
sure.
you
You use the road more than you pay more road taxes. That
but,
makes sense
right,
to some extent.
Which
yeah.
is, but we do that every time we buy gas.
Mhm.
The more gas I buy, the more gas tax I pay, which means I'm paying more to build roads.
Right.
So is that good enough for you? What about? How about we're all going to die if you keep driving like that?
Yeah, and then there's a big conflict between, originally they were saying they want to push people towards electric cars, so they increase the gasoline tax. But then they say, wait a minute,
Oh, yeah.
but if people are driving electric cars, they still have tires and they still use the roads.
The cars are heavier and they're actually harder on the road.
They're harder on the road than the gasoline
Yes,
cars.
so now they're now. So here's $7,000 to go towards a $60,000 vehicle to encourage you to buy that.
But then we'll tax you.
However, you need to pay $150 a year road tax since you're not buying gas. How you like that, EV drivers?
Yeah, I know. But and then there's the whole, was it Klaus Schwab who said you'll own nothing and rent everything?
Yes. So Klaus, World Economic Forum Klaus, he also thinks that transparency, what he loves about, so renting, there's going to be a permanent record of
Everything
you do, right?
Yeah.
You own something, well, it's mine. It's none of your darn business.
Right.
You rent it, well, yes, there's a permanent record, and that's good for everybody.
It's good
really.
for control.
That's good for everybody. Because what did Klaus say in?
If you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't be afraid.
Yeah, well, give me the whole thing.
Okay. In this new world, everything is going to be transparent, and you have to get used to it. You have to behave accordingly. If you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't be afraid. All right, Klaus, why don't we track everything you do? How about that?
Now, if that's not terrifying enough,
Yeah.
a quote,
Yeah.
imagine that with a German accent.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And it reminds me of Inglourious Bastards, where Christoph Waltz plays the... He doesn't really like the nickname that they've given him, the Jew Hunter, but he goes into people's homes with his Gestapo and interviews them. This is exactly what he says.
Yeah.
Right? If you have nothing to hide, then why should you be afraid?
And that's
Terrifying.
Yeah, it is terrifying. And if you don't have the discernment to realize how terrifying that is, you need to sit down and think about it for a little while. Because what this means is there's going to be databases. You know, people say, why are you afraid about the government having this? Look, it's not the government, whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's Jack, who works at a terminal in the Department of Bumpity Bump.
Yeah.
Who says, I don't like this Crowhill guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up some information on him, and I'm gonna change his credit score. And
Right,
I'm gonna
because
do this, that, and the other thing.
no politician would use information against his opponent.
Oh, never.
And so when your guy's in power, you go, what could be the harm?
Yes,
Think about it for a second. What if somebody you hate is in power next?
exactly.
Think about, can you
That's
think
the
that
thing-
far ahead?
That's the thing that nobody considers. Is like, okay, it's fine. You're happy with Joe Biden having such and such power. Do you want Trump to have that power?
Yeah.
Or vice versa? You're happy with...
They've shot themselves in the foot a number of times
Yeah.
already going, we've got the power, let's change the rules to benefit us. And then one administration later, like, oh, that didn't work out.
Yeah, they just flip it back the other way. The problem with giving power is that you don't know who's going to be exercising that power. There's going to be some your ex, your crazy ex-lover, whoever it is,
Yeah, right.
is going to have access to this information and is going to be able to use it against you. And that's the problem.
Right. No
And
matter how benevolent you think that the government is,
Yeah.
imagine it not being so much.
Right.
Do you want them to have this information?
exactly. What?
So
no,
you voted for your local sheriff. That guy can have keys to your front home and check on it while you're away. Okay, that's fine because
and then what if the sheriff next year is somebody who hates you? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And nobody thinks about that. It's amazing that they don't think about it. So anytime you want to give the government some power, think about the worst politician you can imagine having that power.
Yes.
And then decide whether you want to give the government that power.
Exactly. So when Edward Snowden,
Yeah.
who I don't know how he did it, but threw his entire life away to expose this metadata collection.
Yeah.
And
And the country just sort of said, yeah, I guess.
well,
okay.
yes, that's yeah. Here, let me get to this
sad.
quote here. This
Pretty sad.
This someone reacting to the fact that Jack Smith, the guy who's going after Trump, collected info on any American who retweeted or favored Trump tweets, like you said.
Yeah.
But the next part is, this is such a dystopic nightmare, as is the way it's calmly accepted by so much of the country. So I'm asking you, what is more terrifying? The fact that we're being constantly surveilled, or we don't really mind anymore?
It's both. I mean, both of them are horrifying. But the thing that bothers me the most is the fact that people don't care.
But let's think about it, because frankly, you and I don't care. Because anybody who really cared about any of those things wouldn't have their phone on all the time, driving around. And what's turned out is like the government. So 50 years during the McCarthy era, you know how terrible and terrifying and scary that was.
Watch the episode.
The government following you around was a terrifying idea, and now people have gone, well, my choices are having access to Candy Crush and porn
and watching TikTok videos.
And
having people watch everything I do and listen to everything I say.
You mean I'd have to give up all of that?
I'd have to give up TikTok videos?
Well, I couldn't turn my phone off. People, if you guys watch any true crime like I do, people won't even turn their phones off to go murder somebody. They're like, well, where were you on January 5th? Oh, well, I was at home by myself and nobody knew that. Funny, because your phone was in an empty field where we found a body. Dang it, I shouldn't have taken my phone. Right? So people, So I saw this meme, this cartoon, right? There's a 50s looking woman underneath of it says 1950s, and she's whispering into the phone. She says, "I can't talk about that. I'm concerned about wiretapping." And then it says 2023. The person's going, "Hey, wiretap, I need a recipe for banana pancakes." Right? It's like you 100% know that Alexa is listening all the time.
Yes.
And yes, it was a horrifying idea that the government is spying on you. And now you're like, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, now we've just accepted it. And that's why the Controligarchs are able to do this stuff. So what's going to shake people, what's going to wake people up? What's going to turn this around? I don't know what it's going to be.
No. Nothing, I don't think.
I don't know what.
All I can say is
we're heading down the road to something worse than 1984.
Well, yeah, I will. The fact that we've already spent all of our grandchildren's money,
yeah.
This is the world that we're giving them, and
yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be here in 50 years, but I'm
sad.
kind of glad.
It's sad.
I didn't want to know.
It's very sad. I think probably what's going to happen is it's going to collapse on itself. And what was that old saying? Hard times make strong men.
Yeah.
Strong men make good times. Good times make weak men.
Yeah.
Weak men make bad times. Bad times make strong men. Right. And we're going to go through some sort of a cycle like that, where it's going to get really nasty.
It's going to have to.
Yeah, it's going to get really nasty, and things are going to fall apart, and then a new generation of strong men will come along at some point 50 years in the future and fix things.
Yes.
But we're gonna live through the bad times.
Yes, some of those sort of conservative-leaning post-apocalyptic novels, scenarios.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
that's what's going to happen.
Get your guns and your food storage. And...
I'm not sure if that's going to help, but still, I think we're definitely in for hard times, and I hope that there's somebody waiting in the wings to fix it later down the road.
So what do you think about or precious metals when as we creep towards digital currency?
I think it's a good idea to have some, but I am not by any means an expert on this kind of thing, and I hesitate to even say anything. I think it's probably a good idea to have some precious metals.
Right, but what will likely happen is the only thing that you can do with them is cash them in for digital currency. Right?
Maybe.
I mean, unless you can find some people who are willing to barter.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then you're gonna be
and if you buy too much of that, then your social credit score will go down, and they'll flag you as being a dangerous psychopath or something. I don't know. It's bad. I think people don't have any conception of how bad it is and how bad it's likely to get. That's.
Well,
there's your cheery thought.
On that cheery note. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I guess we thought we were going to wrap it up with some advice or something.
The only advice I can think of is just oppose this in any way you can.
And only Elon can save us.
There we go. Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.